All I want to do is watch some action. Sorry.
Copyright. Ding, ding, ding.
Welcome to Mac Football Forever. I'm Alex Alvarado. That's Caleb Carter. Caleb, how have you been, man? I mean, we are on the last week of Mac Football. How are you feeling lately?
I mean, we're getting to the finish line, and I did not know before the season if we were going to get here. So in that case, I'm still kind of fairly content. I think there was never we were excited to have this season back, but never was I super duper stoked about the prospect of a football season being conducted under these circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
As we learned this week, we're going to be fighting potential cancellations and postponements all season, with the cancellation of Ohio effectively ending its season unless some unforeseen bowl game comes into the picture. It's not so much bittersweet because this kind of just felt like it was probably going to happen all along, and the fact that there's been more game changes in the last 2 weeks just kind of seems to fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely the season where we didn't really know what to predict, and we kind of sound like broken records about it. We sound like broken records just for saying that we're broken records about it. Sure. But that is absolutely the truth, and it is. I feel bad for obviously everyone that had their football seasons affected, let alone their personal lives affected. All of these locker rooms have seen some of their friends sit out and be like, I love you guys, but I can't, because of all this and whatnot. And then they've had some games canceled, not as many as I thought there would be though, and I kind of want to point that part out. I want to point out the positive of this is that, we were kind of walking on eggshells this whole season being is this even the right move? It's not the right move. Are we still going to have all these football games played? Honestly, more than we expected. I don't know what the number was, but I didn't expect only 4 MAC games canceled this year. And they all involved Ohio and Kent State. The entire West has had, knock on wood, all 5 of their games so far all played in the West, and looking forward to the 6th. If that whole division can stay clean for the whole year, that's an incredible accomplishment for them. For Buffalo, for them to, stay clean, when I talked to Rachel Lindsay last week of the Buffalo News, she said that they did have some positives in September and they kind of had to shut stuff down. And since then they've stayed squeaky clean throughout, and so it's good to see, when, the teams are, passionate and when they're, healthy enough to play, when they still go out and do their thing, it is really nice to see. Cause it's more, I guess it's like a reward. I guess that's the right word I should be thinking of here. And so when, teams have their games canceled, it just really sucks to see, especially, for the 2 locker rooms I just said, Ohio and Kent State, they've had multiple games canceled this year. Ohio's had half its season sliced. You know what? I shouldn't say it like that. 3/4 of its season sliced, because we went from a 12 season to 6, now to 3. And it just really sucks. And your coach is an old man. I would want to protect him at all costs too. Kent State's a locker room that has been doing things right since before we had an official pandemic. If everyone remembers, during spring ball, when spring ball was starting to be a thing, Sean Lewis read in the news and he said, you know what? I don't know if my overhead's going to tell me to, stay at home, but I know that we have to do this at some point. Everybody, we're canceling practice right now. You are all going home. You are going to rest. You are going to quarantine, and you are going to quarantine before everyone else is going to do it. And so for them to, go out of their way to do the right thing, to be the leaders, that more FBS programs should have seen, more everything should have seen. And then for Sean Lewis to come back and himself catch COVID at some point in August or September, and for, to have the locker room keep being sidelined for it, it sucks to see for them. So my heart really does go out to them. And I really do hope that, one, they get better health, with physical health, but two, that, they emotionally have recovery too, because that's just so much to go through.
Yeah, and the effects of all of this are never going to end. It's not like we're going to look back at this season and say, there was a blip on the radar, and nothing changed after that. This season is changing the way we're looking at amateur athletics. This season potentially has health consequences for players and their families. That this will be a year that they will remember, because members of their families, people in their circles, have had to go through this virus, or even somebody that maybe not even close in their circles, but they're still affected by seeing, folks hurting and people struggling. It's a time where racial justice is at the tip of the nation's tongue again. It's a time where the status of athletes as like what they bring to the table and how much money is made off of them has come to the forefront again. And there's a lot of things about this year that are going to be historic and that are going to linger well past this year. And for many of us, and for you and I included, I know I don't typically look at sports as an escape, but damn if it hasn't been fun just getting us some MAC football for some time and getting to talk about it.
I co-sign with you 100%. We do still have 5 games that we do get to look forward to. Hopefully that stays that way. We still have NIU at Eastern, Akron at Buffalo, Miami at Bowling Green, Central Michigan at Toledo, and then game of the week, man, Western at Ball State. That is going to be so much fun.
Hell yeah.
We'll start in the East, though. Akron at Buffalo. Really quickly, like, how many points is Akron going to put up in here, and why is it 2 touchdowns?
All props to Akron about the way they came out against BG. You could have come out against your rival and just, I don't know, they were so hungry for that first win to end that streak. And I have to, if I'm Akron right now, they're even hungrier to make a statement against Buffalo. Everybody's heard how good Jarrett Patterson is all year. They've had to hear how good Buffalo is. But Akron defense did a decent job against Buffalo last year. It was a 21-0 game, and Buffalo's in a point where it's already clinched. Might be looking ahead to a MAC championship game, trying to keep people healthy. Maybe not as many reps for some of the starters. Maybe not. Maybe Buffalo doesn't want to assume anything, and because the season could end at any moment, wants to go full tilt. All that said, I think if you're Akron, you're as motivated as you were for the BG game now to prove that what you did last week is a building block for something else.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Akron got to spoil Buffalo's first ever AP ranking?
Oh, God.
Wouldn't that just be so fun? It's not going to happen, but it would be so fun, though, right?
It would be amusing, and it would make for a lot of jokes and, just lazy comedy, but it would hurt the conference. I want Buffalo to be ranked. I want this to be I want this to have a great storyline of how good Buffalo was this year, undefeated going in the championship game against whoever it is they see from the West. Hopefully that championship game's a shootout, and the MAC gets to showcase itself again. But, I'm not complaining. I'm not going to complain if Akron wins. It's all going to be all kinds of fun if they find a way to spoil it.
Speaking of jokes, Miami at Bowling Green. Miami's not going to defend its MAC title this year. Like I said last week, I felt for them because they had a couple games canceled because of someone else's locker room having problems. But still, this is what they get. They get to end the season at Bowling Green. Bowling Green's going to try to score a touchdown this time. Miami, I'm very confident in Miami right now. But what are you kind of hoping to see out of these two teams in their last hurrah for the 2020 season?
There's not much about this game that actually intrigues me. And if I'm Miami, I would want to see a lot of those younger players go tick for tack with a lot of the younger players that BG already starts. So I would be most interested in if Miami plays a lot of the young guys and they produce in a big way against BG's kids, because so we can see how those players who are going to stack up the next few years look. Obviously, it would be great to have some of these NFL talent caliber players from Miami show out and make an impact. Doyle and Rumba, those type of guys. But or even just Jack Sorensen having a really big game to end the season to cement himself as maybe one of the better G5 wide receivers. He really does not get enough love, and he did not get the chance to play as many games as he should have this year. But other than that, just how Miami and BG's young guys stacked up, and then can these older guys who are the talented guys on that Miami roster show out to end the year?
Yeah, and like I'm feeling the same way about Bowling Green, though. I want to see, and they've been rolling out youth all year, but I want to see if they can just like put up a fight against Miami, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just want to see if that offense can like get something together once, twice would be cool. I mean, twice would be really cool. I bet.
So there are guys in that BG offense you like to see with the ball.
Yeah, Denley. I love seeing Denley with the ball.
There's a problem getting those guys the ball in that offense and given what they do.
And then give them the ball with a hole.
Right. But there are some guys on that offense that, given the right moves and the right development in the next couple of years, they'll be some of those players we could talk about with as much excitement as we talk about some of these other guys.
Good transition to move over to the West. NIU at Eastern. Though, NIU and Eastern, those are two very – unproductive, but also unproven teams, heading into the year. Now, they understand themselves a little bit more heading into this final game as sort of a preview for themselves heading into 2021. Mm-hmm. Is NIU going to get the monkey off the back? Is it going to have that first win of the season against Eastern?
I think
I like its odds better than I did 3 weeks ago for whatever it's worth.
Sure. I think going into the year, this was my expectation for if either of these teams win a game, it's going to be against each other. Obviously, Eastern bucked that with the big win against Western, but I still feel like this has kind of come down in the same way I expected, where there are two teams that were talented but struggled to find wins. They couldn't put it all together, and Eastern should go into this one the favorite. They've got the win, they've got the big victory, but it really, really wouldn't surprise me to see the Huskies pull out a win just because of things they do on offense that tend to hit from time to time, and maybe some guys make a place. But I could see it being a good game. I could see it being right down to the final seconds.
Yeah, and who the ball is going to go to in NIU, and if things just get shaky enough for Eastern's defense, if they just for whatever reason can't get an answer for Tyrese Ritchie, if Harrison Whaley just whoa, you can't guess which way he's going, Whaley. I could see NIU making a threat in this game, but. And NIU has gotten better progressively over the last couple of games, and games that we didn't really expect them to get better in. So, this is again their final shot to just put it all together for 4 quarters. Speaking of 4 quarters that teams that can't put it all together in, Central at Toledo. Usually, this is always, almost always a fun series, but CMU is just so banged up and it's just not fun to watch. Central is never fun to watch anyway, and I say that as an Eastern grad, but it's actually just not as fun to watch unless you are only tuning in for its defense, because the CMU defense versus Toledo offense, that should always be the preview of it. That's just the way that Toledo stacks itself up to be, and that's the only way CMU can win these series. But how much of that is going to be an exciting matchup to watch on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a game where it might just be as simple as who's more motivated to come to the table and fight for it. Because at the beginning of the year, if you asked me, all right, week 6, how hyped are you for this far ahead for a Central Toledo game? You're thinking, oh gosh, that's going to have implications no matter what. Even if it's not whoever wins, it's going to be this game's going to make either Western's going to get in or one of these two is going to get in. I would have thought that's the case. Now that that's not the case, it's kind of just there's not really any questions I have for either of these teams. There's nothing I'm waiting to see happen. Like, is Toledo going to do this? Is Central going to do this? So now it just comes down to the matchup is pretty even-handed in a lot of respects. I think Toledo has the advantage because of the playmakers they've got and the defense being a little bit, I don't know, just being able to make some plays. But I don't. They both these teams have so much talent.
The talent doesn't change. These rosters aren't dramatically they're not getting free agents or whatever in the middle of the year.
Sure.
So yeah, they know we know them. They know themselves at this point. So like you said, the talent doesn't change, but we see what those talented rosters do when they just don't show up to play.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right on all that.
So if we're looking at optimistically, I would love to see Brock show out if he's playing. I don't know that Daniel Richardson is out for sure, but it doesn't look like he's going to start. It's looking like Brock will start. There's some things, obviously, that CMU does creatively that can get, that as far as running the ball and, like, just mixing it up a little bit with Pimpleton that makes it exciting. Toledo, if they get going with Carter Bradley, we might see one of Bradley's better games. This could be like the coming out party. It's not to say that Bradley, we haven't seen that in a game where he threw for 400 yards, but if we see, like, clean, polished, like the pocket's clean Carter Bradley, we might just see like 650, 700 yards of offense, which would love to watch to end the season.
Yeah, like if you can just give us one game for us to focus on for the next 8 months, that's fine by me. Western, Ball State. Caleb Huntley has not played the last couple of games. He dressed and was on the sidelines cheering his guys on last week. Didn't play at all. If he's in the lineup this week, how worried should Western be?
If I'm Western, I'm most worried about the fact that you ran a lot of defensive looks that did not have an answer for what Eastern did a week ago. And Eastern is not as talented offensively as Ball State is. It's not to say Eastern doesn't have those wide receivers who, are really good football players, but just all around Ball State has more offensive talent. And so looking at what Ball State could do with, 4 pretty decent wide receivers. The Jalen Magai, I can't remember his name, Jalen Magai. He, three receptions, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. You're seeing guys develop for Ball State as Drew Plitt his career comes to an end, and guys are picking up the mantle at wide receiver, guys are picking up the mantle at running back. And if Huntley's healthy, then this could again be another shootout, and that wouldn't be uncommon for this matchup between these two teams in recent years. Mm-hmm. And my God, this matchup is so, like, as I've said before, this matchup is so much more sexy than it was just a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of it's going to have to come down to, if Ball State's defense comes up to play yet again, in which they have every week, don't get me wrong. That's why they're in this position where they're playing for another game, just like Western is. But it has to show up this Saturday. Whatever happened before does not matter. It has to show up this Saturday. It has to stop Western's running backs. It has to stop D. Eskridge. Yeah. And it has to stop Jalen Hall. Now, I really like the way, we when we talk about Ball State's defense, we mostly do it in terms of, like, Chris Amiyang, or I'm probably mispronouncing his name, number 0 on the defensive line, him making plays. Like AJ Uzodinma, but there's also Brandon Martin, who's been doing a very good job at his linebacker role too. The corners, you said it was Uzodinma, but JT Wahi's also been playing well too. Do you think that they're going to have enough answers from their cornerbacks and plus, like, help from Brett Anderson and Bryce Cosby? Do you think there's going to be enough there to stop, what makes Western so goddamn good on offense?
I think that if it comes down to Ball State winning, it's going to be because they make those game-changing plays that the defense has created in recent weeks. And because I don't think Western will struggle to move the ball against Ball State at all. I don't think there's going to be much friction there. If it comes down to, if it's a blowout, I think Western's winning big. If it's a close game, I think Ball State's winning. That doesn't mean I'm favoring Western heavily over Ball State, because I think Ball State's playing the type of football in terms of creating chaos, creating turnovers, that I think it works better in their favor if it's a close shootout, maybe.
Caleb, we talked about the games. We kind of talked about what we expect to see on Saturday. We have only 2. Back to 3. We have 3 games that kick off at noon, and then a 2:30, and then a 3 o'clock kickoff all on Saturday. We didn't say who we think's actually going to win at the end of the day. So I got a minute on my clock. As soon as you start talking about who you think's going to win between Akron and Buffalo, I'm going to start this clock.
Hey, Alex, Buffalo's going to beat Akron.
Oh, that was quick. I'm going to believe you there. Miami, Bowling Green. I'm going to go with Miami, but it would be so nice if Bowling Green could win. I always say it'd be nice if enough could happen, but it won't happen. Miami by a lot.
Red Hawks. Yep.
NIU, EMU. Last week you picked NIU.
I really don't think they're ending the season with a loss. I think they are going to be motivated to end the season with a win. And Somebody's going to make that big play late, and it's going to happen in the final seconds. And NIU wins by less than 7 points this week.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it happening. I could see less than 7 points. Of course, it's going to be a one-score game, but I'm giving me Eastern then. Central, Toledo. I'm going Toledo. CMU is too banged up.
You know, I want to pick Central just for the sake of I can't. It's Toledo. Toledo's going to show out offensively.
Uh-oh. That was a minute. Oh, no. It doesn't matter. We're running through it. Western, Ball State. I actually haven't even thought of who I actually think will win this game, even though I've been thinking nonstop about this game. Like, I've been thinking about the way it's been played. I haven't thought about the end part.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, I'm excited to hear what you think, though.
You know what? Cardinals. Let's see them roll. I think this is I think it's a weird year, and I think that we deserve a weird finish. Let's see Ball State do it.
I am going to take the educated guess and say Western here, because if I say Ball State and they Ball State themselves again, I'll never be able to forgive myself for not listening to my prior self.
Sage advice, friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good advice you offered yourself.
Speaking of good advice that you offer to yourself, what's some good advice that you want to impart to our listeners right now?
I think, one, you should watch all these games. Two, make some smart holiday plans as those approach by scheduling Zoom Christmases and Hanukkahs and Kwanzas and whichever and what you want. So be smart this holiday season. Mask up. Keep doing that. We love you for it. Wash your dang hands. And take care of the people around you and show them some love.
Take care of us first, though. Take care of us.
We're your buddies first. That's true.
We were your first friends.